All right, let's get straight to it. Today we're working on a Nissan Sentra. This is a 2014 1.8 cylinder engine. And today we are replacing your outer brake lines. These are your low pressure lines, and you can see they are not interchangeable. They are completely opposite. If you look at this little piece here, there's a flat side here, and there's a side with a pointy end. If you sit both sides down on the flat side, you will notice that these points stick up differently. You know, the way it's curved. So they're different parts, and they also bend outward here at the neck at different angles. So make sure you get the right part for the right side. I got the back wheels chocked so it doesn't go backwards on me. All right, I got it in the air. I got my jack on this beam right here underneath, and you can also use this bead part right here. That's where I actually have my jack stand. Because it's front wheel drive, the tires won't spin while it's in the air, but I still recommend, if you're not using an impact, to break these lugs free before you lift it all the way into the air. And then once it's broken, lift it into the air and then finish getting them off. Okay, so now that we got the tire off, one little trick I like to do when I'm doing brakes and I need to bleed them, I use a cover from a tote, an old tote that I'm not using anymore. They're good for covering a wide range of space and catching what little bit of waste we'll have from bleeding the brakes. So this is the brake line we're changing here. It's connected in 3 places. Of course, back here where the bolt, this is a 12mm bolt we have to take out. And then up here, we're gonna need our 10mm flare nut wrench. You can use a regular 10mm wrench, but there's a higher chance of you stripping that. So you might want to just start with the flare nut wrench. This is the flare nut. You can see the way it's shaped. It covers around the whole hex instead of just the sides, and it'll cause you to strip it a lot less. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this little clip here. You can take a flathead screwdriver or a punch, and you can punch down here on this part here, and it'll push this clip right out. And once that clip is removed, you should be able to push this on through and out. And now it's just connected here at the bolt and up here at the 10. So I like to put the new line at least inside the hole there and line it up with the old line. And now I can go ahead and I'm going to start with the top. So I'm going to break that old line first, and then there's a clip here just like the one down low we need to remove, and then we can install this new line and then screw that in. All right, so I got the new line in. I was able to get that 10mm out and that clip, new line, and I put the clip back in. Now it's time to get this side done. Okay, so we got this side in now. It's the 12mm bolt here, and make sure you put your gasket on this side and on the inside. You want to put those gaskets in. And so when you got both sides connected, all you gotta do now is put this clip back on this part, and we're practically done with changing the brake line. So now that we have the brake lines done, all we have to do now is bleed these brakes. I'm going to show you the easiest step of doing it with 2 people, basically. You want to get a piece of hose that fits right on the end of this nipple here, that fits nice and snug, to make sure this fluid doesn't come out. And then the other end, you want to get a clear bottle. In this case, I'm going to use an old water jug, and you want to set the other end inside of that jug. This is going to help for you to see the old fluid and keep track of how much is coming out, and also keep track of the dirty fluid, and once it starts to turn clear. Because once the fluid coming out starts to turn clear and clean, then you know you flush most of that old dirty fluid out. So it's a 10mm bolt right here, or you can use a flare nut. I'm going to just go ahead and use a regular wrench. It's a brand new part and it's real easy to move. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have someone pump the brakes up. Then while they're holding the brakes all the way down to the floor, I'm going to open this bleeder. It's going to bleed whatever is in there, with whatever air is in there, out. And then I'm going to close it off. Then they're going to pump it up again and hold it all the way down to the floor. And I'm going to open it up again. It's going to release the air and the fluid down into the bottom. And I'm going to continue to do that until I push at least a half a quart out and add a half a quart to my my reservoir. But you don't have to do it that way if you're not really trying to push the old fluid out. You can just do it until you see no more air bubbles coming out. So before I start the bleeding process, I want to make sure I top it off with some brake fluid. This is a very important step, and you want to keep topping it off after every certain amount of times of opening it up. All right, pump it up and hold it. All right, hold it. Close it back. All right, pump it up. Hold it. Pump it up. Hold it. Put some more in our reservoir. And keep in mind, normally we'd be done with this already as far as bleeding goes, because the pedal is firm now, but we're trying to flush out all this fluid and put new fluid in. So we'll continue to do this, but as far as bleeding, the process is over. We can go ahead and close off this bleed screw and we're done. All right, so we're done bleeding, and after, look at all that dirty fluid that we got out. And this is just from bleeding one side. So we have to go on the other side, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Like I said, of course, you can just bleed it the normal way and get a few squirts out, get the air out. But over here, we like to get as much of the old fluid out as possible and get the clean fluid running through. So by the time we stopped, the fluid that was coming out of the hose was clear. So now we know we have clean brake fluid running through this brand new line. So let's go ahead and put our tire back on and put our cap back on our reservoir, and we'll be done.